Tennessee with their fourth commitment of the 2024 class on Saturday. Marcus Goree Jr. announced he will be committing to Tennessee's football team. Goree chose Tennessee over finalist of Colorado, who is offering everybody with Deion Sanders, Michigan, Michigan State, and Nebraska out of Bradley Central High School in Cleveland, Tennessee. It is a significant pickup. It's just a 3-star, but you don't want to lose a guy in your backyard. 6 foot, 170-pound cornerback, 56 tackles, 11 for a loss, 2 picks, a sack, and a forced fumble. So he joins a 4-star athlete, Jordan Eccles, a 4-star cornerback, Caleb Beasley, and 3-star defensive lineman Carson Gentle, who plays like a maniac, as 2024 commitment. So your thoughts on the pickup of Goree Jr. over the weekend, who announced his commitment at a very peculiar time. It's Saturday night at 9:30, I believe, just to keep us on our toes.
So, I mean, up to 6'1" as a safety sounds like, by the way, a lot of this I'm getting from our own Caleb Jaru, who does an amazing job recruiting. I just want to plug him every chance I get because you guys should all read the stuff he does on our site. He's amazing. Sounds like the talk with him is that the sample size of him as a cornerback or as a defensive back is limited. Sounds like he's very good at covering possession and tight ends, possession receivers and tight ends, kind of more physical receivers. His ability to cover guys in the slot, which are the speedier players and which is what safeties are typically asked to do, is up in the air, according to these reports. So, Dave, is that a red flag, or would you rather it be that, or would you rather it be the other way if you're getting a defensive back going into college?
Would I rather him be projected? Ask that question again. I'm not sure.
So the scouting report on him, and this is Caleb Jaru, who is citing 247 Sports Reporter, saying is that he has demonstrated a good job at covering physical possession receivers and tight ends. Mm-hmm. He hasn't shown any ability. They haven't even tried to put him on a slot receiver yet. Now, I feel like as a safety, you usually guard the slot receiver more than you guard possession receivers. Am I right?
Yes. You're absolutely right. I think this will answer your question. I'd rather have the guy who's a natural corner that I could move to safety. And I'm going to reference our guy, Fred White, again. Fred White, when he showed up to Tennessee, you think of him as a big, bulky safety, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
He wasn't that when he showed up to Tennessee. When he showed up to Tennessee, he ran the second fastest time in the 100 meters at Georgia, 10.21, I believe, in high school. And they immediately, when they saw they had so much depth at cornerback, they said, can you put on weight and play safety? And he said, absolutely, I can. New viewers on board, please hit the thumbs up like button. We appreciate it. So I would rather have the Fred Whites of the world that could show up and play safety, and you say, whoa, you have a bigger frame. Let's make you, show up and play corner. Say, whoa, you have a bigger frame. Let's move you to safety. I'd rather have that guy, and this guy sounds like that guy.
Okay. Yeah, he's technically listed as a safety on Rivals, but you're right. He sounds more like a corner the way he's described, being able to guard possession receivers. So sounds like his, it's hard with him because his measurables and his size haven't fully developed yet, and people don't know where that's going to be. That's why he's a 3-star. So he's one of those you could see transition to a 4-star next year. Although him committing to Tennessee could also have him transition to a 4-star given the politics of recruiting rankings.
Well, and he's the type of guy in Cleveland that's just down the road. So you wouldn't want him to get away to Michigan, especially with the transfer portal. Now, the transfer portal takes coaches out of tough positions like this, because let's say Tennessee was 50-50 on this guy, and you got Michigan coming in with offers, Colorado, all these other schools. So you suddenly have to make a call, right? You've got to say, I'm offering or not, or he's going to go somewhere else and I'm going to lose out on it. Well, with the transfer portal, go ahead and take it. And then if he can't play, put your arm around him and say, son, I think that there might be a better option for you elsewhere. This is happening. I had a player reach out to me that was on Tennessee's roster and said, I heard you talking about players if they were asked to leave. And I'm just going to tell you, I still love the university, and I don't want to besmirch them in any way. But yes, I was asked to leave. That's college football nowadays. So it's kind of like you passed up a long two, a mid-range 2-point shot, and you take it to the rack and you hope you get an and one. So that's what they're hoping for. They get a really good player, but at the end of the day, it's not like it takes up a scholarship for the next guaranteed 5 years. Kids are getting paid now. Kids can transfer. You put your arm around them. You say, buddy, I love you. I just don't think this is the best fit for you. I think it's completely changed recruiting. So if they're 50-50 on him at all, and nobody's told me that, but he's not a highly touted player, then yeah, take him and make sure he doesn't go elsewhere because you have the in-state tie.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a smart move. And for people that want to complain about the politics of coaches doing that, I mean, this is the give and take of players getting paid, which I'm for, and players being allowed to transfer wherever they want and not honor their commitment. And I think they should be allowed to do that too. But if they're allowed to do that, then you can't complain if coaches and universities don't want to honor their commitment and their side of it. So it's their game at that point.
You're from Memphis, and the common thread among Memphis high school coaches is that Tennessee just didn't offer their guys in Memphis. And it really bothered a lot of Memphis coaches, and it further drove a wedge between UT and Memphis prospects. I'll give you another one. Patrick Willis, who's going to go into the Hall of Fame. That's a guy who John Chavis didn't think was fast enough to play on Tennessee's defense. So he caught all kinds of heat because that was an in-state guy. Back then, before transfers and you could transfer freely and before you're getting paid and all that, which you and I are both proponents of. Back then, if you didn't take an in-state guy that had offers from every other SEC school, as Patrick Willis almost did, at least Ole Miss, then you were looked at as you're not giving the in-state guy a chance. My argument to that was I defended Chavis, even though he wasn't a big Dave Hooker fan. I defended Chavis because I think you got to take who fits your scheme. And I thought he missed on Patrick Willis, and obviously he did. But to me, it doesn't matter if you're in-state or not. So if there's a Jonathan Crompton right across the border and he's technically North Carolina, do you lean towards a B.J. Coleman because he's in-state who has less talent? I don't think so.
Yeah, I still question if B.J. Coleman had less talent, though. I mean, he got stuck with – I feel like if B.J. Coleman got to be coached by David Cutcliffe, I mean, that dude had a cannon for an arm.
David loved B.J.
Yeah.
Had David stayed, I believe it would have been B.J.'s job over Crompton, but Lane came out and immediately said that Crompton was going to be the starter. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll say this. UT had one pipeline into Memphis, and that was Orange Mound Melrose, which was where Cedric Wilson, Andre Lott, and Mondre Dickerson all came out of. That was the one school they had. They were the premier football school. It was in a really rough part of town, and they churned out football talent like nobody's business. But you're right. The rest of the city, and it's funny you say that because Pruitt got a lot of flack for not focusing as heavily on in-state, particularly Nashville kids. And I know somebody who told me that Pruitt told him off the record, I hate to be prideful of my hometown, but basically Pruitt said the only part of the state that really has good football is Memphis, and it's hard for me to recruit those kids because other schools are fighting for them. And it's turned out to be right because I've been saying this for years. Nashville kids are super overrated football wise. They are so overhyped in their star ratings if you look at their production in college.
Yeah, I think at some point just the numbers are going to get to this critical mass point where you've got so many that they're going to produce 10 high-level prospects each and every year, which are probably pretty close to that.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they haven't gone on and done tremendously well.
I think Jackson has better talent historically than Nashville. Jackson's been loaded with some talent.
Yeah. The only thing
Al Wilson.
The only thing
Too Tall Jones is from Jackson.
I did not know that. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll close on a Cowboys note.